The morning alarm echoed through the mining station at exactly 600 hours. Henwoo Park rolled out of his narrow bunk and stretched his tired muscles. Another day on Kepler 442b meant another day of ice, wind, and the endless sound of drilling machines. He had been the foreman of Mining Site 7 for 3 years now. The job was hard, but Hyun-woo loved working with his hands. He loved solving problems. Most of all, he loved taking care of his crew outside his small window. The frozen landscape stretched endlessly under 2 pale suns. The ice reflected the light in ways that still amazed him, even after all this time. This world was beautiful in its own harsh way. Hyun-woo pulled on his thermal suit and headed to the mess hall. His friend Dae-jin Kim was already there, eating breakfast and reading reports on his tablet. "Morning, boss," Dae-jin said with a grin. "Ready for another exciting day of melting ice and digging holes?" "Always," Hyun-woo replied, pouring himself coffee from the machine. "What does the geological survey show for today?" Dae-jin was the best geologist Hyun-woo had ever worked with. The man could read rock layers like other people read books. If there were valuable minerals hiding in the ice, Dae-jin would find them. "Sector 12 looks promising," Dae-jin said, pointing to his screen. "The deep scans show some interesting formations about 200 meters down. Could be a rich vein of rare metals." Sora Lee joined them at the table, her communication equipment already buzzing with morning reports. She managed all contact between their site and the other mining stations across the planet. "Corporate wants our daily output increased by 15%, she said, not looking happy about it. "They say the Mars colonies need more raw materials?" Hyun-woo sighed. "Corporate always wanted more production with the same number of workers. They never seemed to understand that pushing too hard led to accidents. We will do our best," he said. "But safety comes first, always." Taemin Cho arrived last, as usual. The senior engineer never woke up easily, but once he started working, nobody could match his skill with the heavy machinery. "The thermal borers are running perfectly," Taemin announced, sitting down with his breakfast. "I made some adjustments last night. We should be able to reach deeper levels today." The 4 men had worked together for years. They trusted each other completely. In the dangerous world of deep space mining, trust could mean the difference. Between life and death after breakfast, they suited up and took the transport vehicle to Sector 12. The ride took 20 minutes across the ice fields. Han-woo always enjoyed this part of the day. The landscape was peaceful, almost alien in its beauty. The drilling site was a collection of machines. Power units and temporary shelters, steam, rose from the thermal borers as they melted through layers of ancient ice. The sound was constant but oddly comforting. "Readings look good?" Dae-jin called out from his station. "The ice is cleaner here than usual, less debris." Han-woo nodded and checked the depth gauges. They were already 50 meters down and making steady progress. The plan was to reach 200 meters by the end of the day. "Thermal output is stable," Taemin reported from the control booth. "All systems running smoothly." Sora monitored communications from her mobile station. She kept track of weather reports, corporate messages, and emergency frequencies. Her job was to make sure they never lost contact with the outside world. The morning passed quickly. The thermal borers worked steadily, melting through layer after layer of ice. Han-woo walked between the machines, checking systems and talking with his crew. He believed in being hands-on. A good foreman never stayed behind a desk. Around noon, something changed. "Hyun-woo," Dae-jin called out, his voice tight with excitement. "You need to see this." Hyun-woo hurried over to the geological station. Dae-jin was staring at his screens with wide eyes. "What is it?" Hyun-woo asked. "Energy readings," Dae-jin said, pointing to the displays. "But not natural ones. These patterns are too regular, too organized." The screens showed colored lines and graphs that measured different types of energy. Hyun-woo was not a scientist, but he could see that something unusual was happening below them. "How deep?" he asked. 180 meters. Right where we planned to stop for the day. Taemin appeared beside them, wiping grease from his hands. The borers are acting strange too, like they are hitting something that reflects heat instead of absorbing it. Sora joined the group, her portable scanner beeping rapidly. I am picking up electromagnetic signatures. Definitely artificial. The four friends looked at each other. In all their years of mining, they had never found anything like this. Kepler 442b was supposed to be a dead world. No life, no civilization. Nothing but ice and minerals. Could be old human technology, Taemin suggested. Maybe a crashed ship or lost equipment. No, Daejin shook his head. These energy patterns are completely different from anything human. The wavelengths, the frequency modulation, all of it is wrong. Han-Woo felt his heart beating faster. If they had discovered alien technology, it would change everything, not just for them, but for all of humanity. We need to see what is down there, he said finally. Corporate protocol says we should report any unusual findings immediately. Sora reminded him that Han-Woo knew the rules. But he also knew what would happen if they contacted corporate right now. A fleet of ships would arrive within days. Scientists, military personnel, corporate executives, they would take over the site completely. Let us get a visual first, he decided. Then we will know what to report, Taemin nodded. I can modify one of the smaller thermal units to create a viewing shaft. It will take a few hours. Do it, Han-Woo said. As Taemin worked on the equipment, the energy readings grew. Stronger. Whatever was down there was big, and it was definitely not natural. By late afternoon, they had melted a narrow shaft straight down to the source of the readings. Taemin lowered a camera probe on a cable while the others watched the monitor. At first they saw only ice and rock. Then the camera broke through into open space. There, Sora whispered. They were looking at a vast underground chamber. The walls were smooth and curved, clearly artificial. Strange symbols were carved into the surfaces, glowing with soft blue light, but in the center of the chamber was something that made them all gasp. It was huge and clearly alive, though frozen solid in a block of crystal-clear ice. The creature had the general shape of what ancient Earth legends called a dragon. Its body was 15 meters long, covered in scales that shimmered even through the ice. 4 powerful legs ended in clawed feet. Wings were folded against its sides, but this was no Earth dragon from old stories. Its scales reflected light in colors that had no names. Its head was noble and intelligent, with a face that seemed almost sad, even in frozen sleep. What is that thing? Taemin whispered. Around the creature, machines hummed quietly. The technology was clearly alien, far beyond anything humans had ever built. Lights blinked in patterns that seemed almost like breathing. It is alive, Daejin sighed, reading his instruments. Somehow it is still alive. Han-Woo stared at the screen, feeling something he could not explain. The creature looked lonely, abandoned. How long had it been here, waiting in the ice? As he watched, one of the alien machines flickered. The lights dimmed for just a moment before returning to normal. The systems are failing, Sora said, checking her readings. Whatever is keeping it alive, it will not last much longer. Han-Woo made a decision that would change everything. Instead of calling corporate immediately, he told his crew to pack up their equipment and return to base. We say nothing tonight, he told them. Tomorrow, we come back and figure out how to help. His 3 friends looked at him with surprise, but they trusted his judgment. If Han-Woo said they should help the creature, then that is what they would. As they drove back across the ice fields, Han-Woo could not stop thinking about the dragon in the chamber. Someone had put it there. Someone had abandoned it in the ice to sleep alone for who knows how long. That night, he lay in his bunk and wondered what kind of being would leave such a magnificent creature to die in the frozen darkness. And he wondered if humans were brave enough to do what was right, even if it meant risking everything. The next morning, Han-Woo could barely eat his breakfast. His mind kept returning to the creature in the ice chamber. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw those magnificent scales and that peaceful, sleeping face. You look terrible, Daejin said, sitting down with his coffee. Did you sleep at all? Not much, Han-Woo admitted. I kept thinking about what we found. Sora joined them, looking equally tired. I spent half the night researching alien contact protocols. Corporate has very specific rules about this kind of discovery. What kind of rules? Taemin asked, arriving with dark circles under his eyes. The bad kind, Sora replied. If we report this, they take over everything. They move the creature to a research facility. They classify all information. We probably never see it again. Hanwoo felt his stomach twist. The idea of corporate scientists cutting into that beautiful being made him sick. Maybe we should learn more first, he said carefully, before we make any reports. His three friends nodded. They all felt the same way. An hour later, they were back at the drilling site. This time, they brought extra equipment. Dae-jin had packed his most sensitive scanning devices. Sora brought her best translation software. Taemin carried tools for working with unknown technology. The energy readings were stronger today. Whatever powered the alien systems was working harder to keep the creature alive. The power source is definitely failing, Dae-jin reported. These readings show steady decline over the past 24 hours. They lowered multiple cameras into the chamber and set up lights around the frozen creature. In better illumination, it was even more amazing. The scales seemed to contain tiny stars. The face was noble and intelligent, like a sleeping king. Look at these symbols, Sora said, studying the glowing marks on the chamber walls. They are definitely language, but unlike anything in our databases, the symbols covered every surface. Some were carved deep into the walls. Others were projected by the alien machines. They pulsed with gentle blue light in patterns that seemed almost musical. Can you translate any of it? Hanwoo asked. I am trying, Sora said, her fingers dancing across her tablet. The translation software is finding some similarities to ancient Earth languages, very old ones. While Sora worked on the symbols, Dae-jin studied the technology keeping the creature alive. The machines were beautiful, built with curves and flowing lines instead of sharp angles. They hummed with a sound that was almost like singing. This is incredible, Dae-jin whispered. The power systems are based on principles we do not understand. They are converting stellar radiation into some kind of life support field. How long has it been running? Hanwoo asked. Based on the decay patterns, I would guess thousands of years, maybe 2,000 or more. 2,000 years. Hanwoo tried to imagine sleeping for that long, waiting for someone to come back. The loneliness would be unbearable. I have something, Sora announced suddenly. The translation software found matches for some of these symbols. She pointed to a section of the wall where the symbols were larger and brighter than the others. This word here appears in several ancient languages. It means betrayal or abandonment. And this one means last or final. This symbol shows up in contexts about exile or sending away. What does it all mean together? Taemin asked. Sora frowned at her screen. I think it is a warning or maybe a story. Something about the last of something being betrayed and sent away. More hours passed as they worked to understand what they had found. The translation software slowly decoded more symbols. Piece by piece, a story began to emerge. Stardrakes, Sora read from her tablet. That is what the creature is called. The symbols tell about stardrakes who could control stellar energy. They were powerful but also peaceful. What happened to them? Hanwoo asked. That part is harder to translate. Something about a great war, fear, and someone called the Empress. Making a terrible choice. As if responding to their investigation, the chamber suddenly filled with new light. Holographic projections appeared around the frozen creature, showing images that moved like memories. They saw a vast space empire with beautiful crystal cities floating among the stars. They saw creatures like the one in the ice, but alive and free, their scales blazing with inner fire as they danced through space. Look at them fly, Taemin whispered in wonder. The stardrakes were magnificent. They moved through space like dolphins through water, their bodies generating fields of energy that let them travel between worlds. They were clearly intelligent, working alongside other alien species to build something beautiful, but then the images changed. War came to the crystal cities. Ships fought in space while planets burned below. Fear and hatred spread like poison. Through the Empire. In the center of the chaos stood a figure that made them all gasp. She was tall and elegant, with silver skin and eyes like blue fire. She wore robes that seemed made of liquid starlight and a crown of crystal that pulsed with power. The Empress, Sora breathed. They watched as the Empress faced an impossible choice. Her people feared the Stardrakes, even though they had always been allies. The war was turning them against anything different, anything powerful. The images showed the Empress arguing with her advisors. They saw her reaching out to touch the face of a Stardrake that looked exactly like the one in the ice. The creature nuzzled her hand with obvious love and trust, but fear won. The hologram showed the Stardrake being led to a transport ship. The Empress was crying, but she did not stop what was happening. The last image showed the transport ship flying away toward a distant star. "She sent it away," Haiyan-Wu said, his voice heavy with sadness. "She abandoned her own friend to save her empire." The holograms faded, leaving them alone with the sleeping creature. Now they understood. This was not just any Stardrake. This was the last one, sent into exile by someone who claimed to love it. 2,000 years? Daijin said quietly. "It has been waiting here for 2,000 years. Waiting for her to come back?" Sora added. Te-Min checked his instruments. "The power systems are failing faster now." "Whatever triggered those holograms used a lot of energy. How long does it have?" Haiyan-Wu asked. "Maybe 3 days, 4 at most?" Han-Wu looked at the peaceful face of the Stardrake and felt something break inside his chest. This magnificent being had been abandoned by the one person it trusted most. It had waited alone in the ice for 2,000 years, and now it was going to die because its life support was finally giving out. "We have to save it," he said. "Haiyan-Wu," Sora said gently, "we do not know how. This technology is beyond anything we understand. Then we learn," he replied firmly. "We figure it out. Corporate will never allow it," Daijin warned. "If they find out what we are doing, they will arrest us all." "Then we do not tell them," Haiyan-Wu said. "Not yet." His 3 friends looked at him with worry and admiration. They all knew that helping the Stardrake could cost them everything. Their jobs, their freedom, maybe even their lives. But they also knew it was the right thing to do. "What do you need from us?" Te-Min asked. Haiyan-Wu smiled at his loyal friends. "Help me figure out how to wake up a dragon." As they packed up their equipment to return to base, none of them noticed the small communication device hidden among the alien machines. It had been activated by the holographic display, and it was now sending a signal across the galaxy. Somewhere far away, on a crystal throne in a palace among the stars, an aging Empress felt a tremor in her heart. After 2,000 years of guilt and regret, her greatest mistake was about to be discovered. The signal told her that someone had found Solarith, the last Stardrake, the friend she had abandoned to save her crumbling empire. The Empress rose from her throne, her silver skin now marked with lines of age, her blue fire eyes dim with sorrow. She had spent 2 millennia wondering if Solarith was still alive, still waiting for her to return. Now she would finally learn the truth. 3 days passed like a nightmare. Han-Wu and his team worked around the clock, trying to understand the alien technology. They studied every symbol, every energy pattern, every piece of equipment in the chamber below. The Stardrake's condition was getting worse. The machines that kept it alive flickered more often now. Sometimes the lights went out completely for several seconds before coming back on. "Power levels are down to 30%, Daijin reported on the 3rd morning. "At this rate, the system will fail completely within 18 hours. Han-Wu rubbed his tired eyes. None of them had slept properly since finding the creature. They took turns watching the monitors, afraid that each power failure might be the last one. "I have been thinking," Te-Min said slowly. "Our thermal equipment uses similar energy principles. Maybe we could connect our power systems to theirs." "Could that work?" Haiyan-Wu asked. "I do not know, but it might buy us more time." Before they could discuss it further, Sora's communication equipment began screaming with alarms. "Corporate Transport incoming, she announced, her face pale. 3 ships, executive class, they will be here in 2 hours. Han Wu felt his heart sink. Someone had reported their discovery. Now the corporate executives were coming to take everything away. How did they find out? Daejin asked. Does it matter? Han Wu replied, they are coming. The next 2 hours were the longest of Han Wu's life. He stood at the observation window of the main station, watching the sky. When the 3 sleek, corporate ships finally appeared, he felt like he was watching his own execution. The ships landed with corporate efficiency. Before the engines had even cooled, people in expensive suits were walking toward the station. Han Wu recognized the man leading them. 1-Ho Young, corporate security chief, the most dangerous man in the company. Foreman Park, Won-ho said as he entered the station. His voice was cold and professional. I understand you have made an interesting discovery. Sir, Hyun Woo replied carefully. Behind Won-ho came a woman Hyun Woo did not recognize. She was young, maybe 30, with intelligent eyes and equipment cases that marked her as a scientist. This is Dr. Kuri Nam, Won-ho said. Xenobiologist. She will be taking charge of the alien specimen? Specimen? Hyun Woo repeated, anger flaring in his chest. The creature you found, Won-ho corrected smoothly. Corporate has decided to transport it to our research facility on Mars. The scientific value is enormous. It is alive, Han Wu said. It has been sleeping for 2,000 years. Moving it could kill it. Won-ho's expression did not change. That is a risk corporate is willing to take. The potential knowledge we could gain is worth the chance. Dr. Kuri Nam stepped forward. She looked uncomfortable with Won-ho's cold approach. Actually, she said, I would prefer to study the creature in its current environment first. Moving it immediately does seem dangerous. Won-ho turned to her with a look that could freeze fire. Doctor, your job is to extract maximum scientific value from this discovery. How you do that is your choice, but the creature will be on a transport to Mars within 48 hours. What if we refuse to help? Daejin asked, stepping up beside Hyun Woo. Then you will be arrested for interfering with corporate property, Won-ho replied. The creature was found on a corporate mining claim using corporate equipment. It belongs to the company. Sora and Taemin joined their friends, standing together against the corporate team. Han Wu felt proud of their loyalty, even as he worried about what would happen to them. We need access to the site immediately, Won-ho continued. You will provide all data, all recordings, and full cooperation with Dr. Nam's research. They had no choice but to lead the corporate team to the drilling site. When Won-ho saw the chamber for the first time, his eyes lit up with greed. Incredible, he breathed. The alien technology alone is worth billions, and the creature itself, ... Dr. Nam was more interested in the science than the money. She studied the readings with genuine fascination. The life support system is failing, she observed. We need to act quickly if we want to preserve the specimen. How quickly? Won-ho asked. Hours, not days. Won-ho spoke into his communication device. Prepare the transport ship for immediate departure. We leave tonight. Wait, Hyun Woo said desperately. The power systems are too delicate. If you move it now, the shock could shut everything down. That is a chance we have to take, Won-ho replied. Dr. Nam looked troubled. Perhaps we could. Stabilize it first? Give me time to understand how the systems work. You have 6 hours, Won-ho said firmly. Then we transport it, stable or not. As the corporate team began setting up their equipment, Hyun Woo pulled his friends aside. We cannot let them do this, he whispered. What choice do we have? Sora asked. They have legal authority. Legal does not always mean right, Hyun Woo replied. Taemin nodded slowly. The thermal connection I was thinking about earlier. If I could link our power systems to the alien ones, maybe we could stabilize the creature ourselves. Without corporate permission, Daejin asked. They want to risk killing it for science, Hyun Woo said. I want to risk everything to save it. His 3 friends looked at each other. They all knew that helping Hyun Woo would mean the end of their careers. Won-ho would make sure they never worked again. They might even face criminal charges. I am in, Taemin said quietly. Me too, Dae-jin added. Count me in, Sora whispered. Hyun-woo felt tears in his eyes. These people were more than his crew. They were his family, while Dr. Nam worked with the corporate scientists. Hyun-woo's team began their own secret project. Taemin carefully studied the alien power systems, looking for connection points. Dae-jin monitored the creature's vital signs. Sora kept watch for corporate security. I think I can do it, Taemin announced after several hours. The energy frequencies are compatible. If I can jury-rig a connection between our thermal generators and their life support, it might work. Might? Hyun-woo asked. The power surge could kill the creature instantly, Taemin admitted. Or it could save its life. There is no way to know without trying. Dr. Nam approached them, looking conflicted. I have been listening to your conversation, she said quietly. What you are planning is incredibly dangerous. More dangerous than moving it? Hyun-woo asked. She hesitated. No, actually, I think you might be right. The transport will almost certainly kill it. Will you help us? Sora asked. Dr. Nam looked around to make sure Won-ho was not watching. I did not become a scientist to watch magnificent creatures die for corporate profit. What do you need? Time, Hyun-woo said, and a distraction. Dr. Nam nodded. I can delay the transport for a few hours. Tell them I need more time to prepare the creature for movement. As evening approached, Won-ho grew impatient. Doctor, we leave in 1 hour whether you are ready or not. Just a little more time, she replied. I want to make sure the creature survives the journey. Meanwhile, Taemin worked frantically to complete the power connection. Sweat dripped from his face as he carefully linked human and alien technology. This is it, he announced finally. One chance. Hyun-woo looked down at the sleeping stardrake. After 2,000 years of abandonment, someone was finally trying to help it. Not for money or science, but simply because it was the right thing to do. Do it, he said. Tae-min activated the connection. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the alien machines began to hum louder. The lights grew brighter. The energy readings soared. It is working, Dae-jin shouted, but their celebration was cut short by Won-ho's angry voice. What did? You do? The security chief stood at the edge of the chamber, his face twisted with rage. Behind him, corporate soldiers raised their weapons. You are all under arrest for sabotage of corporate property, Won-ho declared. The creature is stable now, Dr. Nam said quickly. The power boost saved its life. That was not your decision to make, Won-ho snarled, but as he spoke, something wonderful happened. The stardrake's eyes opened for the first time in 2,000 years. They glowed like molten gold, ancient and wise and beautiful, and in those golden eyes, Hyun-woo saw recognition. The creature understood that someone had chosen to help it, even when they had nothing to gain. The choice had been made. Now they would face the consequences together. The stardrake's golden eyes opened slowly, like twin suns rising after an endless night. For a moment, everyone in the chamber stood frozen, hardly daring to breathe. The creature did not move at first. It simply looked around the chamber with those ancient, intelligent eyes. When its gaze fell on Hyun-woo, something passed between them, not words but understanding. Incredible, Dr. Nam whispered. The neural activity is off the charts. It is definitely conscious. Won-ho stepped back, his hand moving to his weapon. Keep your distance from it. We do not know if it is dangerous. The stardrake slowly lifted its great head. Ice still clung to parts of its body, but the magnificent scales were beginning to glow with inner light. It was the most beautiful thing Hyun-woo had ever seen. The power connection is holding, Taemin reported, his voice filled with wonder. Human and alien technology working together. The creature tried to move but seemed weak after its long sleep. It struggled to lift itself, then settled back down with what sounded almost like a sigh. It needs time, Dr. Nam said. 2,000 years of suspended animation. Its body needs to remember how to function. We do not have time, Won-ho snapped. I want it sedated and loaded onto the transport immediately. You cannot move it now, Hyan-Woo protested. Look at it. It is barely awake. But Won-Ho was already speaking into his communicator. Prepare the neural dampening equipment. We sedate the creature in 10 minutes. The Stardrake seemed to understand the threat. Its eyes flashed brighter, and for the first time it made a sound. Not a roar or a growl, but something like music. The alien machines responded, their lights pulsing in rhythm with the creature's voice. What is it doing? Won-Ho demanded. I think it is trying to communicate, Sora said, checking her equipment. The sound patterns are incredibly complex. Dr. Nam was studying her readings with excitement. The electromagnetic activity suggests intelligence far beyond anything we have ever encountered. This creature is trying to talk to us. The Stardrake's musical voice continued, rising and falling in patterns that seemed almost like language. The alien symbols on the walls began to glow brighter, as if responding to the creature's call. It is activating the chamber systems, Daejin observed. The entire facility is waking up. New holographic displays appeared around them, showing star charts and alien text. The translation software on Sora's equipment began working frantically, trying to decode the flood of information. I am getting partial translations, Sora announced. Words about loneliness, waiting, abandonment, and something about gratitude. Gratitude? Hyan-Woo asked. I think it knows we helped it, she replied. It understands that we saved its life. The Stardrake slowly turned its great head toward Hyan-Woo. When their eyes met again, Hyan-Woo felt something incredible happen. Images flashed through his mind, but they were not his own memories. He saw the creature flying through space between the stars, its body blazing with cosmic energy. He felt the joy of soaring through nebulae and dancing with solar winds. He experienced the deep bond between the Stardrake and the Empress who had loved it like family. And he felt the crushing loneliness of abandonment, the slow fade into frozen sleep, the desperate hope that someone would return. It is sharing its memories with me, Hyan-Woo said in amazement. Dr. Nam's instruments went wild. Telepathic contact. This is unprecedented. Through the mental connection, Hyan-Woo sensed the creature's confusion. It had expected to wake up and find the Empress, or at least other members of its species. Instead, it found strange small beings who chose to help it for no reason except kindness. That is enough, Won-Ho declared. Activate the neural dampeners. But before his soldiers could move, the Stardrake did something unexpected. It began to sing. The sound was beyond beautiful. It was harmony made real, music that touched the soul. Everyone in the chamber stopped what they were doing and listened in wonder. The song told a story without words. It spoke of loneliness and hope, of betrayal and forgiveness. It thanked the humans for their compassion and asked them to understand that it meant no harm. Even Won-Ho seemed affected by the music. His hand dropped away from his weapon, and his harsh expression softened slightly. My name is Solarith, the creature said suddenly, the words appearing directly in their minds. I am the last of the Stardrakes. Everyone gasped. The telepathic communication was crystal clear, as if Solarith was speaking directly to their hearts. You saved my life when you had no reason to help me, Solarith continued. This is a kindness I did not expect from strangers. We could not let you die, Hyan-Woo replied, not sure if he should speak aloud or think his response. Your species is unknown to me, Solarith said, but your hearts are pure. I sense no greed or hatred in you, only the desire to help those who suffer. Won-Ho shook himself free from the spell of Solarith's voice. Fascinating as this is, we have a schedule to keep. Sedate the creature now. His name is Solarith, Dr. Nam said firmly. And you cannot sedate him. The neural dampeners could damage his telepathic abilities permanently. I do not care about its abilities, Won-Ho snapped. I care about getting it to the research facility. Solarith's eyes flashed with something that might have been anger. The temperature in the chamber suddenly rose as energy flowed through his scales. You would make me a prisoner, Solarith said, his mental voice now carrying an edge of power. Just as she did. We are not imprisoning you, Won-Ho lied. We want to study you, to learn from you. Against my will, Solarith replied. That is the definition of imprisonment. The alien machines around the chamber began to hum louder. The holographic displays showed star maps and what looked like weapon systems coming online. This facility is still functional, Dr. Nam realized, and Solarith can control it. Stand down, One-Ho ordered his soldiers. Do not provoke it. But Solarith was not interested in violence. Instead, he turned his attention back to Hyun-Woo and his friends. Tell me about your species, Solarith requested. Why did you choose to help me? Because it was the right thing to do, Hyun-Woo replied simply. Even though it could cost you everything, yes. Solarith was quiet for a long moment, studying the 4 humans who had risked their lives to save him. In 2,000 years of sleep, I dreamed of many things, he said finally. I dreamed of the Empress who abandoned me. I dreamed of my people, who are all gone. I dreamed of dying alone and forgotten. The sadness in his mental voice was overwhelming. Hyun-Woo felt tears running down his cheeks. But I never dreamed that strangers would show me kindness without asking for anything in return, Solarith continued. Your species may be small and young, but you have something that my ancient empire lost. You have compassion. That is enough philosophy, One-Ho interrupted. We are leaving now, with or without your cooperation. Solarith's eyes blazed brighter. You misunderstand the situation. I am no longer a helpless creature trapped in ice. I am awake, and this facility responds to my commands. To prove his point, Solarith sent a pulse of energy through the chamber systems. Every piece of corporate equipment suddenly shut down. Weapons, communication devices, even the lights on their suits went dark. I do not wish to harm you, Solarith said. But I will not be taken prisoner again. In the sudden darkness, lit only by Solarith's glowing scales and the alien machines, One-Ho finally understood that he was no longer in control. What do you want? He asked, his voice much less confident than before. I want to understand these humans who saved me, Solarith replied. I want to learn about a species that chooses compassion over profit. Hyun-Woo stepped forward, feeling brave despite the impossible situation. We want to understand you too, he said. We want to be friends. Friends, Solarith repeated, as if tasting the word. Yes, I would like that very much. But their moment of connection was interrupted by a new alarm from Sora's equipment. She had managed to get her communication systems back online, and they were detecting something that made her face go pale. Ships incoming, she announced. Big ones. And they are not human? Through the chamber's viewing systems, they could see them approaching. Sleek vessels of crystal and metal, beautiful and alien and clearly powerful. The signal, Solarith said, his mental voice heavy with old pain. My awakening sent a signal across space. She is coming. Who is coming? Dr. Nam asked. Empress. Velthara, Solarith replied, the one who abandoned me here. After 2,000 years, she has finally come to see if I am still alive. As the alien ships descended toward the planet, Hyun-Woo realized that their adventure was just beginning. They had saved a dragon, but now they would have to face an empress who had waited 2 millennia to learn the consequences of her greatest mistake. The Drakmari ships landed like falling stars, their crystal hulls reflecting the light of the twin suns. Each vessel was a work of art, flowing lines and graceful curves that made human technology look crude by comparison. Solarith watched the landing through the chamber's viewing systems, his golden eyes filled with emotions too complex for humans to understand. 2,000 years, he said softly, his mental voice barely a whisper. She said she would return when the war ended. I never stopped believing her. Hyun-Woo could feel the Stardrake's pain through their growing mental connection. Hope and, hurt warred in Solarith's ancient heart. Maybe she had good reasons, Hyun-Woo offered gently. There are always good reasons for betrayal, Solarith replied with bitter wisdom. That does not make the pain less real. One-Ho was speaking urgently into his communication device, trying to contact his superiors. The arrival of an alien fleet had changed everything. This was now a first-contact situation, far beyond his authority to handle. "Corporate is sending a diplomatic team," he announced. "We are ordered to maintain peaceful contact until they arrive." Dr. Nam was studying the alien ships with scientific fascination. "The energy signatures are incredible. These vessels are powered by technology centuries ahead of ours." Through the chamber's enhanced viewing system, they watched figures emerging from the lead ship. The beings were tall and elegant, with the same silver skin they had seen in the holographic memories. But at their head walked a figure that made Solarith's entire body tense with recognition. Empress Velthara looked much older than in the ancient recordings. Her silver skin was lined with age, and her blue fire eyes seemed dimmed by centuries of regret. She wore simple robes instead of the elaborate royal garments from the holograms, and her crystal crown was smaller, more modest. She looked sad, Sora observed. "She has carried guilt for 2 millennia, Solarith said. "I can feel it from here. The weight of abandoning someone she loved." The Empress and her escort approached the chamber entrance. Solarith could have sealed the facility against them, but he chose not to. After waiting so long, he needed to face this moment. "Solarith," the Empress called out as she descended into the chamber. Her voice was musical, like wind chimes in a gentle breeze, but it carried the weight of ages. The Stardrake lifted his great head to look at her directly. For a long moment, neither spoke. 2,000 years of separation hung between them like a wall. "You came," Solarith said finally. "I received the signal," Velthara replied, tears flowing down her silver cheeks. "I have monitored this system for centuries, hoping, praying that you were still alive, but you never came to check." The accusation hung in the air like a physical thing. Velthara flinched as if Solarith had struck her. "I was afraid," she admitted. "Afraid that you were dead. Afraid that you were alive and would rightfully hate me for what I did." "I should hate you," Solarith said. "For 2,000 years I have had nothing but time to think about your betrayal." Velthara nodded, accepting the judgment. "Yes, you should, but I do not," Solarith continued, surprising everyone in the chamber. "I understand why you made that choice. Your empire was tearing itself apart. Your people feared what they did not understand. You believed that sacrificing one would save millions." The Empress looked up with desperate hope. "Can you forgive me?" Solarith was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his mental voice was gentle but firm. "I forgive you, old friend. But forgiveness does not erase the past. Trust, once broken, must be rebuilt from nothing." That was when Velthara noticed the humans standing nearby. Her ancient eyes studied them with curiosity. "Who are these beings?" she asked. "The ones who saved my life," Solarith replied. "When my life support systems began to fail, they chose to help me. They risked everything to keep me alive." "Why?" Velthara asked, looking directly at Haiyan-Wu. "Because it was right," Haiyan-Wu answered simply. The Empress studied him for a long moment. "You are not Drakmari. You owe Solarith nothing." "What did you hope to gain by helping him?" "Nothing," Haiyan-Wu replied. "We just could not let him die alone." Velthara's eyes widened in surprise. In all her centuries of rule, she had rarely encountered such pure compassion from strangers. "You saved the last Stardrake without thought of reward?" she said wonderingly. "Your species is remarkable." "Not all of us," Wonho interrupted. "These 4 acted without authorization. Corporate policy requires that all alien contact be approved by proper authorities." Velthara turned her attention to the security chief, and her expression hardened. "You would have let him die for a bureaucracy?" she asked, her voice carrying an edge of power that made Wonho step back. "We would have studied the creature properly," Wonho replied defensively. "For the advancement of science?" "Against his will," Velthara stated. "That is what you call slavery in most civilized societies." The tension in the chamber was rising. Solarith could sense that violence might break out between the humans and the Drakmari. He decided to intervene. "Enough," he said, his mental voice carrying absolute authority. "I will not have blood spilled in my presence." The power in his words was undeniable. Everyone fell silent, waiting for him to continue. Empress, you came here to reclaim me, Solarith said. But I am no longer the same being you abandoned. 2,000 years of solitude have changed me. And these humans have shown me something I had forgotten. What? Velthara asked softly. That bonds are not created by law or blood or ancient. Oaths, Solarith replied. True bonds are forged by choice, by sacrifice, by choosing to care for others when you gain nothing from it. Solarith turned his golden gaze to Hyunwoo and his friends. These humans chose to risk everything to save a stranger. They asked for nothing in return. They have earned something that cannot be commanded or demanded. What is that? Hyunwoo asked. My loyalty, Solarith replied. My friendship, my bond. The chamber fell silent as everyone absorbed the meaning of his words. The last Stardrake was choosing to bond with humans instead of returning to his former life. You would abandon your own people for these aliens. One of Velthara's advisors asked in shock. I would choose family over politics, Solarith corrected. These humans have proven themselves worthy of trust. Can you say the same? The advisor fell silent, unable to argue with that logic. Velthara looked between Solarith and the humans, understanding dawning in her ancient eyes. You have found something here that I could never give you, she said sadly. Acceptance without fear, love without conditions. Yes, Solarith agreed, but that does not mean I reject you entirely. You came here, finally. That takes courage. What happens now? Dr. Nam asked. Before anyone could answer, Wonho's communication device crackled to life. His face went pale as he listened to the message. What is it? Velthara demanded. More corporate ships incoming, Wonho replied. Military escort? They want to secure the alien technology and take custody of the creature. His name is Solarith, Hyunwoo said firmly. They plan to treat him as a weapon, Wonho continued. To study his abilities and replicate them for human use. Solarith's eyes blazed with anger. Then they will learn why my people were feared, as well as loved. The alien machines around the chamber began to hum with dangerous energy. The air itself seemed to vibrate with power as Solarith prepared to defend himself and his new friends. There is another way, Velthara said quickly. The Drakmari Empire still has treaties with dozens of species across the galaxy. We could offer protection to these humans under our laws. And in return? Solarith asked suspiciously. Nothing, Velthara replied. This would be my gift to you. A chance to repay some small part of the debt I owe for abandoning you. Hyunwoo looked at his friends. They were frightened but determined. Whatever happened next, they would face it together. We stay with Solarith, he said, whatever that means. Solarith's mental voice filled with warmth and gratitude. Then we are truly bonded, my human friends. And together we will show both our species what real friendship looks like. As the human military ships appeared on the horizon, racing toward a confrontation with an ancient alien empire, Hyunwoo realized that their simple act of compassion had changed the course of galactic history. The age of human isolation was ending. The age of alliance was about to begin. The human fleet arrived like thunder across the ice plains. 12 military vessels, bristling with weapons and carrying corporate executives who saw only profit in the alien contact. They landed in formation around the mining site, establishing a perimeter that made their intentions clear. Admiral Jason Kang led the human delegation, his uniform crisp and his expression hard. Behind him walked corporate lawyers, military scientists, and officials who viewed Solarith as property to be claimed. This is a corporate mining site under human jurisdiction, the Admiral announced as he entered the chamber. All alien entities are subject to Earth Authority regulations. Empress Velthara stepped forward, her ancient dignity radiating power despite her aged appearance. I am Velthara, Empress of the Drakmari hegemony, she said, her voice carrying the weight of millennia. The being you seek to claim is under my protection. Your protection means nothing here, Admiral Kong replied coldly. This is human space. Actually, Dr. Nam interrupted, consulting her tablet. According to galactic law established by the Terran Colonial Charter, First contact situations require diplomatic protocols. You cannot simply claim sentient beings as property. Admiral. Kang turned his hard gaze on her. Dr. Nam, you are relieved of duty for exceeding your authority. No, Solarith said, his mental voice cutting through the tension like a blade. She speaks truth. I am not property to be claimed by anyone. The Stardrake rose to his full height, his scales blazing with inner fire. The sight was magnificent and terrifying, a being of pure cosmic energy contained in living form. I am Solarith, last of the Stardrakes, he continued. One choose my own allegiances. The creature is clearly intelligent, one of the corporate lawyers said quickly. We could negotiate a contract for its services. His services, Hyun Woo corrected angrily. And he is not for sale. Admiral Kang studied the situation with military precision. Human miners, alien nobility, and a creature of immense power all standing together against human authority. It was not a battle he was confident of winning. What exactly are you proposing? He asked Velthara. An alliance, the Empress replied, between humanity and the Drakmari Empire, based on the foundation these remarkable humans have already built. She gestured toward Hyun Woo and his friends. In one act of compassion, they accomplished what centuries of diplomacy could not. They proved that your species has the wisdom to value life over profit. Some of our species, Wonho muttered. That is enough, Solarith said, his mental voice carrying a warning. These 4 humans risked everything to save me. They deserve respect, not criticism. Admiral Kang was a practical man. He could see the alien ships surrounding his position, each one clearly more advanced than anything in the human fleet. He could also see the power radiating from Solarith, energy that could probably destroy his entire force without effort. What kind of alliance? He asked carefully. Velthara smiled, and for a moment she looked like the young Empress from the ancient holograms. Trade agreements, technology sharing, cultural exchange. Protection from hostile species that neither of us could face alone. And, in return, the Drakmari Empire gains something we lost long ago, she replied, looking at Solarith with deep affection. The reminder that true strength comes from compassion, not conquest. Dr. Nam stepped forward excitedly. The scientific possibilities alone would advance human civilization by centuries. Peaceful cooperation is worth far more than forced. Study. Admiral Kang looked around the chamber, weighing his options. He could try to take Solarith by force, but the cost would be enormous. Or he could embrace this opportunity for humanity to join a galactic community. I will need to consult with Earth Command, he said finally. Of course, Velthara agreed. But while you deliberate, perhaps you could see a demonstration of what this alliance might offer. She spoke a word in her musical language, and the air in the chamber shimmered. Holographic displays appeared, showing star charts, technological diagrams, and images of worlds beyond human imagination. These are just a few of the worlds in the Drakmari hegemony, she explained. Each one rich in resources, knowledge, and culture. All of this could be shared with humanity. The human officials stared in wonder at the displays. Planets with crystal cities floating in gas giant atmospheres. Space stations that harvested energy from neutron stars. Technologies that turned matter into pure energy and back again. This is what we offer, Velthara continued. Not as conquerors, but as friends. Admiral Kang was clearly impressed, but he remained cautious. What guarantees do we have? How